Okay, so one thing that I wanted to ask you, just to get it right, is how do you pronounce your name?
You can just call me Nemo. Nemo is perfectly fine.
Do you do that to avoid people mispronouncing your name?
No, I actually don't. I've actually had the name Nemo since I was like 5 years old.
Okay, so you prefer to be called
Yeah,
that?
I prefer to be called Nemo, but for those of you who are curious, my Chinese name is pronounced Qi Yu. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I did a little bit of reading up on your bio, and you've had quite an interesting life. So you were born in China.
Yes.
And then you spent a lot of time in Finland.
Yep.
And now you live in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You got into chess when you were 3 years old, and according to Wikipedia, it said that you were beating like 10-year-old boys when you were 3. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that, indeed. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's quite a tale. So your parents didn't introduce you to it. I think I read that you walked by like a chess club and you got interested just watching people play the game.
Yeah, so I mean, when I was 3, I was just like walking. I was living in France at that time, and there was like this little bakery right opposite a chess club, and I would oftentimes actually go down to the beach via that street. But then this one time, I actually like looked at the window and there were chess pieces there, and that's actually how I got in chess. I was like 3, so.
That's pretty crazy. 3 years old and beating 10-year-olds. I was gonna ask, like, because you had a bunch of accomplishments when you were really, really young too. Like so I wanted to know, because like normally with these lessons, people will either kind of sort of go over opening lines or just sort of like work on areas of the game that I wanted to improve at. But I was curious if you have any old games saved, or if you have any old games memorized when you were really young. I don't know if that's something that you can just like remember off the top of your head, or if you have certain games saved or anything like that, but that would be something that would be kind of interesting. Also, I'm kind of springing it on you, so maybe it would have been better to ask you beforehand.
No worries at all. Honestly, like my entire life feels like it's improvisation. Not just my stream content. My stream content, chat knows, is purely improvisation. But my life is oftentimes also improvisation. I feel like, so in terms of like specific games from when I was younger, I can remember them. Like I remember people I've played. I don't remember the specific moves, but it's usually not too difficult for people who've played a lot of tournaments to just be able to pull off their games from online. So, yeah, you know, exactly. It's I don't really remember each game specifically anymore. There was definitely a time when I could, but nowadays it's more like I basically quit competitive chess for 4 years when I was 17. So I'm kind of just getting back into chess now. Which is
so that's curious, because like chess was such a big part of your upbringing. So I wonder why you decided to step away from it. Was there school that was taking over, or you just kind of lost your love of the game, or what happened there?
It's a bit of a sad topic, I think, but the very, very long story short was it was extremely bad for my mental. Having, I think, started a career at 3, and then at 17. I was already playing the world championships for women, and I was like ranked 52 in the world. And yeah, I mean, I didn't perform super well. I was the youngest at that tournament, and I was like, okay, after I lost that, I was like, I kind of just don't want to play anymore. So I decided that and also that year, I won Canadian National Championships at 16. I played Women's World Championships at 17. And then in 2017, so actually to make this easier, I'm born 2000. So each year is specifically my age. It makes it a lot easier. Right. Yeah. So when I was 17, end of that year, I lost Canadian National Championships. I came second, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I just completely walked out. Just didn't want to touch the game anymore. It was a very, very difficult time period. The full story is actually on my YouTube. It's like quite a long story about the whole thing of like what happened. But yeah, I struggled a lot the last 10 years of my career. I think I kind of didn't want to play chess anymore by the time I was like 10 or 11. But because I was so good, you know, like it didn't really matter if I liked the game or not, I would still win tournaments. So I know nobody asked, but yeah, that's basically what happened. I just didn't like playing it, but it didn't matter if I liked playing it or not. I was still good at it, and when you're good at something, I think parents, society, your coaches, everybody thinks that you should keep with it because, hey, look, this is your chance to make a mark on the world. But for me, I didn't like it, so it didn't really matter. And not a single win mattered, basically, to me. It didn't matter if I won Worlds. It didn't matter if I won Canadian National Championships. I was never happy. So I was like, why am I doing something that doesn't make me happy? It doesn't matter if I get this title or that title. So yeah, that's basically what happened.
Well, I have a little bit of a similar story, but obviously not to do with chess. I had, back in 2009, your chat was telling you that I was an old school YouTuber, but I had sort of like really blown up at the end of 2009 and then at the beginning of 2010 because I leveraged YouTube popularity to get a job working as a host for a gaming media content company at the time. It was called Machinima. And for 2 years I worked there as like one of the highest billed, quote unquote talent at the company. Right. And in 2012, I discovered that I fucking hated doing the kind of work that I was doing. I thought that I wanted to do it, but then, right after they paid me like a fat raise and like really wanted me to stay. And so now all of a sudden I felt this like incredible amount of pressure to stay and do that. It took me like a few months of just being really miserable before I finally, I got the hell out of there. I don't know if you curse, by the way. Do you curse on your stream?
I do. It's okay. It's mostly like, yeah, you're free to do whatever you want. Don't worry.
Okay, gotcha. But at the time, the decision to do that confused a lot of fans because really I was at like the top at that point. Like I was one of the most probably well-known gamers at the time, and then I took a break for like six months, got my bearings. Distanced myself from all that stress, and then I started doing it from home. And it sounds like you have sort of a similar trajectory. Instead of focusing on tournaments, now you're more focused on content, and I assume that that's much less stress and more fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think in your case, unfortunately I don't know what machinima is.
That's okay. It's 10 years. You would have been 9. You would have been 9 or 10 at the time.
So I mean, that's really cool though. But like, I think everybody who like hits like the sky, right? Like at some point, it's never necessarily what people kind of expect. Like people assume that because you're at that level, you have everything in life. Your life is going perfect. Like, you have everything, but the reality is quite different because they don't know like what's going on behind the scenes. But I'm really glad that you figured something out for yourself, in terms of, being comfortable and being able to find something that you enjoy a lot more. Yeah,
me too. Same to you. I mean, it sounds like, are you much happier doing content than tournaments then?
I honestly, I am. I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot happier. But at the same time, I do miss the competitive aspect of things. Did you ever play competitive Call of Duty, or were you just more into the hosting? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I wasn't good enough, unfortunately. But
yeah, no worries. I mean, for me, I'm a very competitive person. It doesn't matter what I get into. I'm super competitive right now. For the last couple of months, I was super into League of Legends. I mean,
I was just about to ask you if you play League. I feel like a lot of chess players get into League too.
Yes, I do. I play a lot of League. The first year, so actually, this is going back to when I quit chess. Picked up League and got Diamond in less than a year because I was like, okay, what if I wanted to make the varsity team because I was going to University of Toronto. I was like, okay, what if I wanted to make varsity team, that kind of trajectory. And then I started playing League, and I discovered that everybody else has been playing this game for like 8 years. I've been playing this game for 8 months, and even though I was Diamond, there were still huge gaps between me being able to play on varsity versus me being able to play solo queue League of Legends. Right. So I'm a very competitive person, and I think even though I'm really happy doing content right now, a part of me still tells me I'm not like fully satisfied. So I'm actually planning on going back into competitive chess or competitive poker. I'm still like in the mix. I'm playing like poker, sort of like I want to get into poker, sort of competitively, it's hard to define poker actually, but that is like something I really want to do. But then it's just a matter of time, right? Like I can't try to hit diamond this year and try to play, you know, chess for 6 hours a day, and also at the same time try to make it into big tables in Las Vegas at the end of the year. So I want to do everything, but I just don't have the time to do everything.
Well, one of these days I'd love to play you heads up poker. I used to play a lot of poker back in the day.
Oh,
like a lot of poker. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you ever want to do that, or we can get a table going. I know Botez likes to play poker as well. I don't know if you guys interact too much, but yeah,
we do not so much in terms of like content, but she's definitely one of my closer friends in streaming. It would be really fun to get a bunch of people together and play a poker table. That'd be lots of fun.
That'd be awesome. I played with her. I played with Botez and Destiny. I don't know if you're aware of Destiny. He's a political streamer person, and then Andy Milanakis. And it was down to me and Andy, and I kept on bullying him with my bluffs, and then I just did it too many times, and he just ended up cleaning me out.
Oh, so, yeah. Can't bully them too much. Got it. Yeah.
But it was a good time.
For sure.
So that's great. So do you have any just to finish this part up and we can get into the lesson, but do you have any sort of like long-term or short-term goals when it comes to chess right now, or is it sort of just abstract ideas in your head of kind of wanting to get back into it generally?
So a short-term goal is winning nationals again, getting back into the world championships, because that's a dream that I've had since I was 5. To win worlds. I won World Youth Chess Championships, but even then I'm not happy about it. So I don't think it's realistic for me to be a content creator and try to grind for World Championship. But I mean, at my highest, I was ranked 52 in the world for women. So, you know, I wasn't like...
Not terrible.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I think, and I think a lot of other people also think that if I didn't go completely mentally boom and just stay with it, you know, a couple more years, I could have gotten a lot better. But the reality is, you know, things happen, and I'm happy with where I am now. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
Hey, can I ask you something personal?
Go ahead. Of course.
Are there a bunch of creepy weirdos like in the chess scene? Like how are women treated in the chess scene these days? I heard it was bad for a while, but I'm wondering if it's getting better. Okay,
so this is actually a really interesting question, because yes, there's creepy people. But I think that's with every single sport, right? Like, I think it's just by existing, you kind of get creeps as a woman. And, you know, it's just like, like even in streaming as a female chess player, sometimes I read comments and people are like, I have the women grandmaster title, but at every single given opportunity, people will try to make fun of the women grandmaster title, because they're like, why aren't you a grandmaster? Like, why do you need to stick a W in front of it? Like, it's obviously not the grandmaster title. Like, I get that. Thank you very much. But also at the same time, you know, it's not like these people will ever hit anywhere close to that. But at the same time, just because I am female, and I think because for some reason they want to, you know, try to, I don't know what it is they want to do, honestly. I don't know what they want to do. It's whether it's bring women down, or just feel superior, or they just can't have the feeling that somebody is better than them. I don't know what it is, but...
I had somebody explain to me the usefulness of having a women's grandmaster title, and they explained it to me in terms of attracting more women to play the game.
Yes.
And then it really started to make sense to me after that. Not that I was like critical of having the title, but it always kind of confused me.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it wouldn't be necessary, but then when you consider the fact that chess and gaming are both
oh my God,
games that are just dominated by young men, it does make sense to have something there to try to get more young women and young girls into the sport.
I fully agree with you. I mean, you're in the Call of Duty scene. I've played FPS games. I play a lot of League of Legends. Like, I know how toxic the communities can be towards women. I think one of the things that chess is a little bit different is that it's not a team sport. So it's very difficult. Like, you get less negative comments when you're playing. But for example, when I play, you know, I've never, ever turned on team chat in Valorant. Like, I'm too scared to do that. I've seen what happens to Tiffany, one of my friends, you know, like, it's just completely disgusting. And like, I'm just like it's so disturbing that people think that it's okay. So, you know, for those of you who might be wondering, why is there a women grandmaster title? Like Hutch said, exactly, it's to encourage participation in an event, in a sport, in a game, where when you're entering in, right, a lot of younger guys are a little bit more critical. And
not just younger guys too. I mean, I remember Gary Kasparov one time talking about the difference between women and men in chess, and he basically came out and said that men are just going to be naturally better at the game because they're more aggressive. But that's also from a really limited sample size, because who knows what the reality would actually be if we actually had parity, if we had like an equal number of men and women and boys and girls competing in the sport. Then that dynamic might totally change. But for a lot of women and girls, maybe they feel like it's a men-dominated sport, and so they don't want to jump in too fast.
Yeah, and I do think that what's really important as well is that, like you said, there's just not enough data, right? Like I've seen people say that, hey, look, women are just never going to be as good as men, like in terms of thinking and all that. And I'm like, just because women think differently, like it's being scientifically proven that women do think indeed differently, right? Like there are biological differences in brain structure and stuff. But at the same time, I don't think that it necessarily like impacts negatively our ability to play chess. And I think it's really, really important for people to understand that chess is still a growing game, even though it's been around for a couple of 100 years, because and I'm already seeing people you know, like it's just women were never really able to get into games because we had other responsibilities for a really long time. So only in recent years were women really able to like do things that were not inside the house, or traditional kind of tasks that were kind of assumed on us because of our gender. So I think what's really nice, what's really important to realize is that women haven't had the same amount of time as men to play the game. So obviously we have a smaller player pool. Obviously we're facing still criticism as women, you know, and there are some really notable women that have gone above and beyond men, like the Polgar sisters, right? Like Judith Polgar.
Oh man, they're ruthless.
Yeah, they're ruthless. At their prime, like she was top 10 in the world. Like, what is there to say? Like, and at that time, you know, how many women were playing chess, right? Like, not that many, not that many. And even as you know, you've collabed with Anna Kramling. Her mother is the 5th ever female grandmaster in the world, and she's fairly young. Like I don't think people realize how much of this whole, like, why women are not as good as men in chess is just because there's just not that many, right? Like I was better my entire childhood. I was way better than every other boy in my age category. I was 5. I became Finnish national champion for under 10 boys. I was better. Like, but people will say, because there is one guy better than me, all women are kind of not as good as that one guy. Like, but there's also one girl that was playing the entire Finnish like national championships. Like, if we got more participation, if we were able to, you know, all those things really, really impact, I think, how women are going to be, how many women and how women will perform in the upcoming future.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see chess experiencing such a period of growth right now. Because I get excited when I think about maybe all the young girls and young women that are watching people like you and Anna Kramling and Anna Rudolph and Botez sisters, and hopefully it piques their interest and we can get, you know, more data, bigger sample size on this one. Yeah, this is a really interesting time because, like I said before, I did chess videos, I did chess streams for a while, and then the viewership just started to go down.
Oof.
And then these days, it's been like much better. Like
Yeah.
these days, there are a lot of people that are wanting to tune in to watch these tournaments and that sort of thing. So it's really exciting. As somebody who like loves the game, it's cool. It's like watching your baby. It's like watching your baby take its first steps, or like have some big milestone or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I didn't realize that you were such an OG actually in the online chess kind of scene, because online chess hasn't really been able to pick up until PogChamps and Queen's Gambit. Yeah.
well, you had like Chess Network. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel on YouTube, but Bruce has been doing this for years. So he's like, it was like him and like a few other people that were like decently big chess channels. And I've just been sort of waiting for the day to come that it would become more popular, because I just always assumed that it would just because this game is so awesome. And I'm confident that the more people that get exposed to sort of like the romance of chess, the more people are going to want to play it. So it honestly surprises me that it took so long for chess to pick up steam, but I'm certainly glad that it did.